3 years into her marriage with Damien Blackwood, Alara Vance received the good news. She could finally leave him. Your sister will be back in a month. For this last month you will continue to play her part perfectly. On the other end of the line, her mother's voice was as cold and remote as ever. When it's all over, I'll give you $5 million. You can go live the life you've always wanted. I understand, she replied softly, her voice as still and lifeless as a stagnant pool. Hanging up, Alara looked up at the enormous wedding portrait hanging on the wall. In the photo, Damien was breathtakingly handsome in a tailored suit, a man who looked sculpted by the gods. And she, adorned in a priceless designer gown, wore a gentle, captivating smile. 3 years, she murmured, her fingertips tracing the edge of the frame. It's finally ending. 3 years ago, the union of the Vance and Blackwood dynasties was the society event of the year, a merger of fortunes that sent shockwaves through the global elite. Her twin sister Serafina Vance was the bride handpicked by the Blackwood family. But on the eve of the wedding, Serafina had vanished, leaving behind a single, defiant note. Mom, Dad, I refuse to be a pawn in your corporate games. But I know my duty. Give me 3 years to find my own freedom. After that, I'll come back. To salvage the multi-billion-dollar alliance, the Vance parents had no choice. They summoned their other daughter, the twin they had cast away to the countryside years ago, and brought her back under the cover of night. And just like that, Alara Vance, the girl raised in obscurity, who had never even been invited to a family gathering, stepped into her sister's life, put on her sister's dress, and became the substitute bride. Damien doesn't love your sister. He loves the scholarship student his family sponsored. Her mother had warned her on the night before the wedding, her words like shards of ice. Life with him won't be easy. But all you have to do is keep your head down, wear your sister's name, and survive these 3 years. Alara remembered simply nodding, her obedience a practice shield. Of course he knew who Damien was. A permanent fixture in financial magazines, the most celebrated prince of Manhattan's elite, the objective desire for countless socialites. She had also heard the stories about him and Isabel Croft. Isabel was the brilliant, struggling student the Blackwoods had sponsored, the girl who got into a top university on a full ride. Damien had loved her with a fierce passion, ready to defy his family to be with her. But Isabel, proud and fiercely independent, refused to accept the love that came without blessing. She broke it off and left the country. The Blackwood family, overjoyed, immediately arranged Damien's marriage. Married life was even harder than Alara had imagined. Damien's study was a shrine to Isabel, filled with her photographs. Every week he would take a private jet to Paris just to catch a glimpse of her from afar. Meanwhile, Alara, his wife, was not even permitted to enter the master bedroom. She slept in the guest room at the far end of the hallway. Alara was meticulous, playing the role of Serafina to perfection. To ensure the corporate alliance remained intact, she had spent the last 3 years being impossibly, almost insanely, good to Damien. When he worked late, she left the porch light on, waiting for the sound of his car in the drive. When his stomach acted up, she woke at 5 every morning to prepare the simple broth he could tolerate. He loved quiet, so she became the quietest thing in the house, a ghost in her own home. Slowly, whispers began to circulate through their social circle. Mrs. Blackwood was devastatingly in love with her husband. And the way Damien looked at her, it seemed to change, to soften. The photos of Isabel in his study disappeared. The weekly flights to Paris stopped. He started remembering her birthday. He would come home early if he heard she had a cold. He even began to share her bed. For a dizzying moment, Alara almost let herself believe that something real, something true, had begun to grow in the ashes of this substitute marriage. Until 3 months ago, when Isabel Croft came back. Everything snapped back to the way it was. Damien's heart was once again entirely captivated by Isabel. He started staying out all night. The photos of Isabel reappeared in his study, more numerous than before. Everyone in their circle laughed at Alara, calling her a pathetic joke. But she simply smiled her quiet smile, never raising her voice, never making a scene. Because she had never, ever loved Damien. The only reason she stayed was for the money and the freedom her parents had promised. His affection would have made her life easier, yes. But his indifference, it didn't matter. No one knew that while Alara and Serafina were twins, their fates were worlds apart.